1, 2.
Hi, we are in the second part of episode 4 review. Just a heads up, there might be at least 5 parts to episode 4 review. There are a lot of scenes to talk about, and I really don't want to rush this and take the time to talk about the scene. So that's a heads up. We start off with the scene of Charlotte teaching Augusta how to dance. Mr. Heybourne stopped in his path and looked over to what was going on. Random thought though, he already knew that he unlocked the piano, right? But I think the reason why he stopped because he caught Charlotte teaching Augusta how to dance, so that's actually, caught his attention, and he was intrigued and wanted to take a further look into what was going on in the room.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Mr. Colburn.
He smiled over Augusta learning how to dance, and it's one of the parts that she needs to do in order to be ready to be introduced to society. He was also happy that Augusta was happy. Learning how to dance, it means something to Augusta. Augusta is just ready to go out there, and learning how to dance is like a step closer for her. At the same time, what a huge change in the mood of that room, right? And I think Mr. Heybourne felt that. That room is now coming back to life, and there are joyful noise and laughter and smile in that room now. The sun is shining through the windows.
I was trying to teach Miss Markham the cotillion, but we need gentlemen.
No. I won't be persuaded to dance, I'm afraid. Not under any circumstances.
And unfortunately, he didn't want to dance with them, and I think it showed that he a bit shy in his dance abilities, and maybe the last time he danced was with his wife, so maybe he lost his dancing shoes. Maybe it's been a while for him, but who knows, maybe Charlotte will break that barrier around him when it comes to dancing. And of course, Leonora wanted her father to join in the fun and help out with the dance practice. Miss Markham, Augusta, it looked like she was disappointed too that her uncle wouldn't help with the dance practice. I mean, technically, they did need a natural man just to have that full picture when trying to learn this certain dance. But yeah, Mr. Heybourne is just not giving in just yet.
Augusta, I have decided that you and I should attend Lady Denham's garden party tomorrow. You have complained long enough that you wish to be introduced to society. Well, here is your chance.
I love how Charlotte is supporting Augusta in this scene. She looked over to her when Mr. Heybourne announced his plan to attend Lady Denham's party with Augusta. This is a big chance for Augusta, and it's a big step, and at the same time, it's a big step for Mr. Heybourne, because once Augusta steps into society, go out there in the real world, technically he would be like letting her go halfway until she actually get engaged to a man. So it's a huge step for both him and Augusta, but this is something that she's been waiting for her whole life.
I shall also be attending.
Then my dread of the occasion has somewhat lessened.
But what am I going to wear, Uncle?
One of the things I want to point out for this part is that when Mr. Heybourne told Augusta that she can borrow one of her late Aunt Lucy's dresses, not only that dress will bring back old memories of Lucy, but it will enable Augusta to make new memories associated with that dress. At the same time, that dress is symbolic, because when Augusta go to that party in that dress, it's kind of like bringing her aunt with her in spirit. So it will hold a special attachment, that dress, for Augusta.
There are wardrobes full of your aunt's dresses in the East Wing. Perhaps you might find something that fits you there. I shall leave you ladies to your cotillion.
Leonora, when her father told her husband that she handled one of Lucy's dresses, Leonora's like, I wish my mom was still here. She was probably too young to know her mom when she died. So Leonora kind of like having that moment of just like those feeling emotions stirring up inside of her. The thought of her mom makes her sad, and anything that mentioned her mom, it just brings this sort of sadness over Leonora, and she wishes that her mom was still here to not only be with them, but to actually be there for them, especially for Augusta, in attending that party and being introduced to society. Charlotte was very supportive of Augusta going to the party. It's really nice of her, and at the same time, she told them that she was going to the party too, and Mr. Heybourne said that. So yeah, there's definitely something going on between him and Charlotte, that invisible spark that is going on.
That my child?
You swore you had nothing to do with him.
Him? I have a son.
Edward is breaking his promise to his aunt, Lady Denham. He literally told her that he will be staying away from Esther, like, especially one day alone. So he doesn't keep his words, his promises. He's annoying Esther right now. Esther is enjoying this bonding time with the baby, and here Edward asking, who's the baby, is it a boy or a girl? But Edward was really happy when he found out that he had a son, because having boys will carry the family name.
May I see him? Please, Esther, even just for a moment.
I'm a bit surprised Esther allowed him to see his son, especially after everything that they went through together in season 1. But I think after what happened with her stillborn daughter, she's just like, okay, you're the father, you have every right to see your baby.
Oh, but he is handsome. There can be no denying that he's mine. My son.
Esther is protecting herself. She just wants to make sure that Edward doesn't touch her, and especially doesn't touch the baby, kind of like having a fence, a shell around her, against him. But Edward, he appreciated it. I don't know if that really truly appreciation, or he's just like faking it, trying to gain some trust again from Esther. But maybe he was appreciative, truthfully, because he probably like, all these women at the Denham house just like against me, and I can't see my son.
How strange it is to say those words. Thank you, Esther. Truly.
But Esther made a good point. Like, you said it yourself. Like, you had nothing to do with it, and now you're interested to see your child. But after what Esther went through with her stillborn daughter, she just like, you know what? Like, I should not be evil and keep him away from his child when the child is alive. So she allowed him to see his son for a bit. And I wonder how Clara would have reacted, if she found out that this moment happened.
This is done, Fraser. Have the blessing of our commanding officer. Can't do this.
Why not? I love her, she loves me.
Harder is going to propose to Allison, and Fraser doesn't like that. I think the number one thing that is on top of Fraser's list right now is that he wants to protect Allison because he doesn't want her to get hurt, especially after she marries Harder and she finds out that he had been lying to her since the very beginning. That's gonna hurt her in a big way, and I think it would have been a much more harder situation, tougher for her to get out of that marriage. Doing divorce back in those days, it's a whole different world than in today's society. So Fraser doesn't want her to make that mistake of getting proposed and being married. Like, expecting that you will only get married once in your life, and then you find out that, you know, your actual husband is a fake guy since the beginning, and that will create huge conflicts within the relationship.
I've heard you say that before, more than once.
She's not the same. She's different.
You are not. You were the same Carter who fell in love with all those other girls in all those other towns.
Can a young man not grow up and realize the qualities he requires in a wife?
Fraser knows Harder longer than Allison knows Harder, so Fraser sees the whole picture of this situation. Also, if Harder was an honest man since the very beginning, I think Fraser would have been cooler about this. But I think he would still be jealous, but he wouldn't be involved this much in the situation if Harder wasn't lying about himself.
But the qualities a wife may require in a husband, such as honesty.
Fraser.
You have wooed her under false pretenses.
A little aggrandizement of my past.
Damn it, man, you have lied to her.
Lies which will make no odds to our future happiness.
Harder started his relationship with Allison with dishonesty. What would happen when they get married, right? I mean, that could continue. So what Harder said to Fraser, how he defended himself against Fraser, it just shows that Harder really don't care, and that he doesn't care about the fact that he is already hurting Allison without her knowing, because he's been lying to her since the very beginning. And Fraser, he putting Harder in his spot, like telling him that he never changed and that he a bad guy basically when it comes to dating and being in a relationship with a woman, and he telling him the truth, and Harder didn't like that.
And if she were to find out?
And why should she have to?
Fraser could have tell Allison, right? And tell her everything that's going on, but I think he holding himself back out of respect to Harder and Allison. At the end of the day, he probably thinking, you know what, let's get Allison hurt. I mean, she gotta learn somehow, right? Even though it's not entirely her fault, but if it had to be that way, like, it is what it is.
He fell asleep in my arms. Will you take him?
You can place him in his crib.
The only time I've seen you hold him is in front of Lady Denham. It's almost as if you're playing the role of mother for her benefit alone.
Just because I'm not fussing and cooing over him as you seem to be.
Esther is not wrong. I mean, Clara is faking it. Like, she faking it to be a mom, like, to be a happy mom, but she really doesn't. She doesn't want to hold that baby. She's not giving any attention, any physical touch to that baby, and the neglection, like, that's not a good sign.
How can you not? Look at him, Clara. He's perfect. If he were mine, I would never let him go.
And Esther, with what she's been through, she's like, seriously, Clara? Like, you have a healthy baby and you're not appreciative, you're not spending time with your son. So, you know, to Esther, she just like, you crazy woman, Clara, like, what you doing to your son?
Esther?
Don't you realize how lucky you are? Do you know what some women would give to have a child?
Clara is not herself. She not the greatest mom at the moment to her baby boy. I think there are many factors to why Clara is behaving like this. I think one could be the childbirth. Maybe it traumatized her. Second is she wasn't ready to be a mom. And maybe third also is that this pregnancy was unexpected and she had no money, she had no place to live in, she cannot support herself and her son by herself. She had to go to Lady Denham and beg her to allow Clara and her son to live at Lady Denham house. So it's just a lot of stressful factors playing right now in Clara's life, and she's just depressed and not happy, and she's just not herself.
You barely even look at him.
When he was born, you wept.
Esther lost it. She lost it. She let out all her emotion. It just shows how much she had been holding in of her grief and sadness over the loss of her baby daughter. And now Clara knows what's going on, what happened with Esther and her first child. And this might be a wake-up call for Clara to start appreciating that she has a healthy baby boy.
Now I understand why. How cruel fate can be.
At the same time, I think it was like a quick moment of just like therapy session for Esther. Like she finally let it out, and she didn't do that with Lady Denham. Lady Denham like had this like very tough personality to deal with, but I think something about in this moment it just made Esther comfortable to just cry out again and let all the emotion out in front of Clara. And these two women, like they went through the same thing. They got pregnant, like they felt the joy and the happiness to be able to be pregnant, and the importance of becoming a mom, and that this is a huge responsibility, being pregnant and having your child to full term, and giving birth and raising them for their whole entire life. But unfortunately, Esther, she lost her baby daughter at 5 months, I think, and that was cut short, and she wasn't able to see her daughter live and grow. So these two women have the common interest of being pregnant and being a mom and the joy of motherhood. And Clara, she made it, but Esther didn't, and that's the only difference. But they still have that bond over, the joy of being pregnant and having that opportunity to be a mom.
Miss Hayward, she reconsidered her position with Mr. Colburn?
No. I believe she is there even as we speak.
It's a great shame. I hope by now she might have seen sense.
Okay, so Leonard had been telling Tom Parker about Charlotte's situation at work. Like, what a random question to ask Tom Parker. I'm just like curious as to how this conversation happened.
It's the thing I remember best about my aunt. Her beautiful dresses. She's always so elegant. But this is my favourite. I remember her wearing it to a ball in London with my mother and father.
And Mr. Colburn?
I guess that is talking about the memory of that particular dress that she has on. So like I said earlier, like trying on these dresses will bring back old memories, but at the same time, whichever dress that she ends up with to the party, it will allow her to make some new happy memories with it.
He rarely came to London with her. It's always been solitary. How do I look, Miss Hayward?
Like a lady.
Okay, keep that in the back of your mind. Mr. Heybourne did not go to London often, so maybe there was some separation within the marriage relationship between Lucy and Mr. Heybourne. Augusta is truly becoming a woman by just wearing that dress, and again, it's really nice of Charlotte to be very supportive of Augusta and helping her to make that grand entrance into society.
I fear it won't fasten. I'm not as slender as Aunt Lucy was.
Not wearing the right undergarments, that's all.
Miss Hayward, do you think I'm ready?
For what?
Also, I want to mention that it's really nice that these three girls are having this sister girly time, and Augusta and Leonora really doesn't have that memory ever since Lucy died and Augusta's mom died. So this is something fresh and something exciting, and that Augusta and Leonora have this older sister figure that they can look up to and trust and depend on, especially when it comes to woman things.
Society? I know I can be ill-mannered and disagreeable. What if I give a poor account of myself?
You won't. I have every faith in you.
Charlotte is officially the best governess that the Heybourne household ever had. I mean, let's just say that right now. She's great. I mean, she's helping Augusta get ready for the party. It's just really nice to see, and I'm pretty sure this is something that Augusta looked forward to if her mom was still around, and of course to Leonora too. Leonora is watching this unfold in front of her eyes, and I'm sure part of Leonora, she is enjoying this moment, and she wished that her mom was still around too. These two girls have Charlotte now in their life, and I think they are starting to be more appreciative to have Charlotte in their lives.
Anyway, it is your job to ready me for society, so if I am not, then the blame lies with you. Although, I'm almost certain my uncle will change his mind. I won't believe it until we're there.
Of course, the sarcastic Augusta came back, but I don't blame her though. She's still a bit nervous that her uncle actually letting her go to the party. It shows that he never allowed her to go out into public and socialize with other people. So this is huge for her, and she just doesn't want to get hurt again, doesn't want to get disappointed. She just doesn't want to go through that hurdle again with her uncle, that fight between them, that struggle that they have in their relationship. And if they do end up going to that party, maybe it will be a turning point for their relationship, in that Augusta will appreciate and respect her uncle a little bit more.
Oh, what are you doing?
This is my mother's dress. So, in a way, it's like I'm hugging her, isn't it?
We will stop here. Sorry, my mind is in another place. This is such a sweet moment because I did not expect this, especially when I watched it for the first time, because Augusta and Leonora have this huge age gap between them, and I never seen them be this loving to each other until now in this scene, and it's just a really sweet moment.
Yes, Leo. I suppose it is.
And I loved how Augusta brushed her hand through Leonora's hair as well as Charlotte as a sign of comfort. It's just a very honest conversation, what Leonora said, coming from a young child mouth, oh, this is my mom's dress, kind of like she's still with us, you know? So she understands grief in some ways, and she understands what sadness is, what missing a loved one feels like. She understands to some extent. And I like how Leonora mentioned about her mom in the present tense. You know, kind of like it feels like Lucy was with them in that moment. I don't know, sometimes when you lose someone that you love, then you say it in the past tense. Sometimes it sounds much more sad, you know, if that makes sense. But what a touching moment between these three girls at the end of this scene. It's just a glimpse of a great future for the family. Hopefully, you know, this could be the start of Augusta and Leonora being close cousin and have this strong relationship for the rest of their lives. I mean, they don't really have any other family members that they close with except for each other and Mr. Heybourne. You know, hopefully they don't fight too often and just have this special bond between them two. And that special bond really showed in this scene, and it's really nice to see that. It's a different change of atmosphere compared to what we have seen so far since the beginning of season 2.